Welcome collectors to another one of our YouTube episodes here. We're in around the middle of August and we have a nice day, so I thought I'd bring our presentation out to my wife Marie's garden here. She really does a great job with all the flowers. I know you guys aren't flower guys, but at least it puts a little color into the background. What I wanted to talk about today is hunting and forestry cutlasses, and maybe just give you a couple of simple lessons that can really be a good guide and save you a lot of money from getting stuck on something that was made post-war. If you look down on the table here, you'll see we have 3 Eichhorn hunting cutlasses, and which one do you think is the fake one? Well, I guess you can probably tell by the insignia on this. It's made out of zinc, but that alone is not something that would tell you much, because they used zinc after the war got started. But the main difference between an original deluxe hunting cutlass and the post-war types, this is all you have to know. The action on the blade, if you can see this, the action on the original cutlass is running directly towards the tip. And that's true on both sides of the blade. And in addition, you'll see that the Eichhorn trademark is deeply stamped into the metal. Now, if we look at the copy made in the 1960s, first of all, you'll see that the action is running towards the hilt instead of the tip of the blade, even though the blade looks really beautiful. And you'll also see that the Eichhorn trademark, it's stamped in a different direction. It's not stamped, it's etched in a different direction than the stamp trademark. And notice that the etching is much different than the way the stamping looks. Any Eichhorn hunting or forestry cutlass blade that is etched is post-war on the trademark. You want to see the trademark stamped. And then for a little edification, this is an Eichhorn forestry cutlass, and it's basically the identical piece as the hunting cutlass, except for the hilt. See, the blades are identical. See, the action is running towards the tip, and on the back the same. So this is what you want to see on original cutlasses. See the 2 stamped trademarks, not etched? Another little thing that's really nice too, you'll notice both of these cutlasses have the distributor W. Michovius from Gottbus. Gottbus is a town in East Germany, and Michovius was a distributor for hunting supplies, uniforms, guns, and they sold a lot of stuff, so Eichhorn had a relationship with them, and it must have been a large quantity of things, because they actually etched the Michovius name on the blade. So there you go. That's a pretty quick lesson. Another thing you might like to know too, on the post-war scabbards, whoops, as compared to the pre-war scabbards, the post-war examples, this one has no runners in it, and the original wartime pieces do have runners. There's one other thing I'll tell you too that is a real goodie. If you look at the original panel of the large stag baying, notice that he has more peaks to his antlers, more spikes to his antlers than does the post-war piece. Can you see that? Right in here there's an extra antler that's in there that's not on the post-war. You can take that kind of stuff to the bank. Okay, that's just a quick lesson in those, but what I really wanted to talk to you about, this is probably the best cutlass that I've ever seen. It is fantastic. It is absolutely state-of-the-art, and was probably produced I would say around 1900 or 1902. This cutlass was made for Adalbert, who was one of the sons of Kaiser Wilhelm. Kaiser Wilhelm had 6 sons. I think Adalbert was 4th. You'll notice that this cutlass has a pommel which is in the shape of a falcon head. And the reason for this was that the cutlass was meant for Adalbert to wear with his falconry outfit. You can just imagine only aristocrats and titled people could participate in falconry, because you had to have your own birds and you had to have a falcon master that maintained their health and their feeding. So it was a pretty expensive proposition. But what's so fantastic about this pommel is that it's carved of jade. The carving is absolutely beautiful. Has all the feathering in it and has eyes that look like kind of taxidermy type eyes. Very, very beautiful and very, very rare. And then below the pommel, the artisan has fashioned feathering to resemble that of a falcon, carrying it through to the crossguard, where the quillins, one going up and one going down, are in the shape of the falconry claws. And then the scenes of kind of the scales on claws are shown further on the 2 scabbard mounts. Very, very beautiful indeed. The clamshell also has falconry feathering. But if you want to really get excited, the best part of all is this remarkable blade. Absolutely the most beautiful piece of Damascus I have ever seen. The ricasso area has the raised etch of the Kaiserine. The Kaiserine, of course, was the wife of the Kaiser and the mother of Adalbert, and she gave this cutlass to Adalbert. It has her monogram here, which it shows the Kaiserine's crown. It was a little special, different from the normal imperial crown. And then the cipher AW, which stood for Augusta Victoria. And then on the other side of the Damascus blade is the cipher of Adalbert, which is a large A, and the Prince of Prussia crown. Beautiful gold work. Just look at the pattern in the Damascus. Absolutely fantastic. There's also a distributor name on the spine stamped in here, which is M. Neumann from Berlin, and they were what's called a Hoflieferant, which was a word for supplier to royalty. So the Kaiserine ordered this cutlass to be produced through M. Neumann, but more than likely they subcontracted the cutlass probably to WKC, because the royal family did have a lot of WKC pieces. But this is the best thing that you'll ever see. The workmanship is unbelievable. The craftsmanship is the best that you'll ever see. And it's still in completely mint condition, over 100 years old. A really fabulous piece. It really should be in a museum, not in a private collection. But it's amazing how these things wind up here in private collections. But this piece is valued at about $90,000 to $100,000. I know that's a lot of money, but just think of what it is. It's the best of the best, made for the royal family. It's worth it. I'll show you another piece that's also an important historical piece. This is a hunting cutlass from about 1760, 1770, something like that. And it was made for Frederick the Great. And the reason we know that is the outstanding, beautiful carved ivory grip. It features 2 lions at the pommel top, which retain the crest of Frederick the Great. See the FR intertwined with the Prussian crown carved into the ivory. The workmanship on this is unbelievable. It's just the best that could have ever been done. How beautiful it is, and it's toned nice from the last couple of 100 years. Now the fittings are all made of steel, but the symbolism within the fittings is all carved out and then gilded in the background. Most likely the gold would have been hand tooled into the background onto the steel base. See how intricate that work is, and what a skilled artisan it must have taken to make something like that. See, here's a it looks like a wolf or a couple of dogs. Absolutely beautiful. And the gold work and the scalloping of the metal was carried through to both the upper and lower mount. Now the blade is not a Damascus blade, but it's still a very important blade. It's a steel blade, probably the finest that could have been made during the time. It has a center ridge which is flat with double edges, and engraved into the blade is the French Vivat Friedrich, which would mean long life to Frederick. And the reason that this is here is because the cutlass more than likely was presented as a gift to Frederick. A very important historical weapon here, still in really fantastic condition considering that it's at least 250 years old, plus the best of the workmanship as you would expect for the King of Germany. And as many of you know, Frederick was quite a king too. He was one of the greatest kings that Germany ever had, and still is acknowledged as that today. So another piece that should not be here, it should be in a museum. This cutlass is valued at $70,000 to $80,000. So there's a good look at a few things. I hope you enjoyed this segment. We don't want to take too much of your time, but it's nice to see some of these things, because once they are gone, we won't see them again. Thank you.